Hi, in this video we are going to continue the creation of the one-page web application or website. This is a list of suggestions how you should use this video. The notes for this video can be found on this URL, which can be loaded here. Okay, and as we talked about in the last video, Visual Studio comes with IIS Express server, and we also have IIS server running on Windows 10. So what we can do is we develop our website in Visual Studio 2015. If we want to use the debugging function in the Visual Studio 2015, we can also test in IIS Express server, which comes with Visual Studio 2015. And eventually we want to test on a IIS server that is not part of the Visual Studio 2015, so we should test it on an IIS server in Windows 10. Okay. So in other words, you can do 1. If you do not want to debug, you can directly go to 3. So you do 1, 3, or you can do 1, run the debug, and then go to 3. Let's see what we are talking about. The first we need to do is launch the IIS server in Windows 10. So we go to IIS Manager. Make sure that this is running. Okay. Make sure that the server is running, and we can go to the example we are working on here and then browse the example. So that will make them come out here. So this is the example one we were working on. So when we look at this, we are looking at the IIS server in Windows 10, which is the final place you want to test. And if we want to debug in Visual Studio 2015, you can launch the Visual Studio 2015, do a file open website, and open your website. And you can actually run the debug. Okay, you can run it from here, or you can run it from here, or you can simply press F5. Okay, I'm going to run it from here. So they will debug the product, debug the website. Okay, and then show it here. So when you see this port number, funny port number, okay, some kind of funny port number, you know that you are actually testing in IIS Express, which comes with Visual Studio 2015. And then let me close this. After that, you can close this, and you have to stop the debugging. Then you go back to the development mode. Okay. So what I just did was open it, debug and test, and finally test in number 3 here. That's the third one. Okay. Or if you don't want to debug, you can just leave develop and then test, which is what we are going to do next. Okay. All right. So we are here. We want to do a couple of things. We want to create a. Let's look at the final product. The final product is here. So this is what we want to do. So we want to create a drop-down list. We want to do a text box, so on and so forth. And we want to create some buttons. Okay. All right. So let's go by here. The first thing we want to do is switch on the toolbox. Okay. Or if you you can also go to tool settings. Oh, sorry. We talk about Windows, reset window layout. That you can go to that if you don't see the toolbox. So now we can open the toolbox, and then we can pin the toolbox So you can start dragging things here. Okay. So we are developing in the default. So make sure you are in the default ASPX. You are in the design view, and we want to pin the toolbox. Okay, and we want to start dragging things. Okay, and you have standard stuff. Okay, and you have other stuff such as validation and data and all that. Okay. So the first thing we want to do is we want to do a drop-down list. So this is what we want, drop-down list from the standard. So I want to drag this here. Okay. In theory, we do not really need a drop-down list for borrow money. We should allow user to key in, but because we are showing some examples, so we just use a drop-down list example, although it's not really suitable for the borrow amount. We just want to show how it's done. Okay. So under the properties of the drop-down list, we want to change a couple of things. Okay. The first thing you want to do is to change the ID. Drop-down list 1, not a good ID, so we are going to change it to txt interest rate. Okay, so this is the name of the text box that we are making. txt interest rate. Okay. The second thing you want to change is the width, 100 pixel. Okay, and the the ID is not the double interest rate, it's borrow amount. Okay, the ID should be DDL borrow amount. So let me get that. So the ID is DDL drop down list borrow amount and 100 pixels for the width. Okay. Do not double click on these things or else they will generate code. Okay. All right. The second thing I want to drag is a text box for the interest rate. So let's drag text box here and change the ID to txt interest rate, and the width is 100 pixel. So this is the second thing we create. The third thing we want to create is another text box for number of years. And the ID is txt years, and the width is 100 pixel. And then we are going to create a label so that we can output a future tab later. So we put a label here. All right. And first, we delete the text in the label so the label is not shown. It's a label. The label is there, but we don't want to see it. And then we want to give the label an ID so that we can output things to it later. So we give the ID LBL future tab. Okay. And then the next thing we want to create are the two buttons here that looks like this, calculate and clear. So let's put a button here and a button here. Let me resize this a little bit. Okay, let's put a button here. Okay, for this button, we want to give an ID. As you can guess, prefix is btn calculate. Width is 100 pixel. And well, of course, you don't want to see button. You have to change the text to calculate. Okay, again, the ID is that 100 pixel and it's called, the text is calculate. Okay, and then create a button here for clear. So drag a button here. Change the ID to btn clear. Width is 100 pixel. Text is clear. Okay. Again, the ID is button clear, 100 pixel for the width, and the text is clear. Okay, save your work. Okay, so now you can actually come here and test. Alright, so we have all this created. There's no value here. We are going to generate the value using a C# code instead of hard coding. Alright, so what I just did was 1 and 3. I developed in Visual Studio 2015 and then I test in the IIS server here. I did not do 2. Okay, as much as possible, I'm going to avoid 2, just do 1 and 3. It's much faster for my video. Alright, so that's a good place to stop for this video. Thanks for watching. In the next video, we are going to try to continue here to finish this. Alright.